In these times that I talk about on an absolute daily basis, you joining me here, they are filled with chaos and angst and division and problems and the destruction of our culture and our government and safety nets for millions and millions of people. I still think that gratitude is something that we should attach ourselves to, that we should set our minds to try to do better at. With all of the doom scrolling and all of the panic that is absolutely justifiable in our times, we should lean ourselves toward gratitude. And on that note, I'm getting ready to introduce somebody who wrote a children's book that is more than just a children's book. My best friend of 35 years, his name is Brett McAfee. He's an author. The official is Michael Brett McAfee. And if you remember last summer when my wife, Brittany Page, and I went on vacation with my best friend and his wife, it's that same Brett McAfee. Brett McAfee ended up in the hospital, in the ICU, in a medically induced coma. They gave him a 50-50 chance of survival. Spoiler alert, he didn't die, he's here. And I think that it's fair to say that based on that experience, this book came to fruition and to officially be published. And I want to introduce him and, again, this book to you. Brett McAfee, or let's make it official, Michael Brett McAfee. Thanks for joining me for this very weird thing where I'm interviewing you. Thanks for coming on, brother.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's good to see you, as always.
Yeah, so since I just know the audience hasn't met you, they've only heard about you and saw me broadcasting from a little pocket park next to the hospital when I flew back to Scotland to be with you and Lisa. What is it about that experience, if it did at all, that kind of sparked the publishing of this book relative to gratitude?
Well, I mean, it just the timing happened to be pretty apt. Waking up from that experience at 50-50 chance, kind of the renewal, the renewed sense of gratitude coming out of that experience. Just, I mean, the book is absolutely apt. It's timely, I know
that you wrote the poem that this book is based upon decades ago. Talk about that a little bit.
1998. 1998. Yeah. I was, I wasn't going through coming out of a coma or anything, but I was going through a pretty big life change. Moved to Sacramento and was just kind of generally melancholy in my life. And, I was looking for avenues and outlets to try to improve that situation. I started reading, author called Richard Bach. If you're not familiar with him, he's a kind of a spiritualist guy. He wrote Jonathan Livingston Seagull, which is a fantastic book. I highly recommend it. He wrote Illusions, The Adventures of a Reluctant Messiah, also very, very good. There's another one, Rings Through Time or something like that. Anyway, he had a huge influence on me. And it caused me to just sit at the computer and start focusing on what's important, start focusing on the things that I was grateful for in life. And it started simple, I have 2 feet to walk me here and there, 2 eyes to see, 2 ears to hear, something like that. And it just poured out of me in like 15, 20 minutes. And then I just rearranged it into this, cute little poem, and it was therapeutic. And, and it's also been with me pretty much throughout the majority of my life. And I have thought back to it, when I go through times of, where I forget to be grateful, I'll go back and I'll read it, get a little teary eyed, and think about the small things in life that, how fortunate I am, how lucky I am, that I've been given so much in this life. And yeah, that's where it came from.
So is there, it may seem self-evident, but is there like a renewed sense in you of gratitude since all that went on in Scotland and and the aftermath and your recovery and your healing and, to where we are today, which it's bare nearly a year since that happened, which just blows my mind. Has gratitude taken on a new role in your life?
No, I wouldn't say that. No, I would say that going, all of the cliche things that happen to a person when they have a near-death experience, they're all true. So I would say that my eyes are opened a little bit more than they were. Like I said, though, I've always understood that I'm lucky. I've always been a grateful person because this little story, this little poem has been with me so long. And, I've used it as a tool to keep myself in check, to always be grateful for the little things that I have. But I will say that, for lack of a better metaphor, colors are a little brighter,
Mm.
the
Yeah.
air smells crisper. I go for walks and the breeze is breezier, that's, it does, it changes you.
Yeah.
It changes you. And, I'm a very fortunate, very grateful, happy person. Even more so now to your point.
I think there's power in simplicity oftentimes, and that is what I really like. It's why, I was asked to write the foreword to it, and I did. I wrote the foreword for the book.
For that.
I've never been asked to write a foreword, so it's how lucky that you ended up publishing a book of this magnitude, and I think that will be meaningful and moving to some people. But what I like about it is the simplicity element of it. You started off the poem just, I have 2 feet to walk me here or there. It's like I'm in a classroom reading to a class. And it goes through the little things, the simple things that we can be grateful for and appreciate in our lives, and then that we can compound upon that, use that as a foundation to greater, more complex things. And I think gratitude, especially like I started this video talking about, especially in this moment in American history, in world history for that matter, building on the little things and being grateful for the things that we can be grateful for, I think is very powerful. Would you agree with that self-evident, absolutely correct statement, Brett McAfee?
Yes, I would actually. Wholeheartedly, I agree with that. A lot of folks don't have the luxury like I do of unplugging. So I can unplug from the news. Yeah, I know. I feel bad for you all the time, man. I mean, you're in it. You're in it every day. Lisa and I talk about it. And I respect the heck out of you, man, because you keep a very optimistic and you keep a happy demeanor about you. You're above the fray, man. You're above it. And I don't think I could do it, what you do every day. So I have the luxury of unplugging. And I know a lot of folks out there, they don't have the luxury to unplug. So I would say, remind yourself, pick up the book and, read it to your kids and just remind yourself that there are things that are wonderful and they're simple, but they're wonderful.
Yeah.
And like you said, and then move up from there and think about, the people that are out there fighting the good fight, and be thankful for them, be grateful for them. And there's happiness to be had all around us.
Yeah.
And there always will be.
There are 2 elements to this also that I think are very important. One is this could be instructive because it's literally a children's book, but it's more than that. It can be, one, instructive if you read it to a child, for them to be appreciative of the things that they might not think to be thankful for, to be grateful of. And then also, though, this could be a thank you from an adult child to their parent of, this is meaningful to me. I want to thank you for all these gifts that I've been given just by virtue of having life. And so I don't know if you intended it that way, but man, it is powerful and it resonates with me in that way, most certainly. So,
well, it's written as a love letter to, these children are writing this as a letter, of thanks. And just like, hey, I'm so grateful for all of these things. It's like, thanks mom and dad, thanks mom and mom, thanks dad and dad. It's like, thanks whoever for all of these wonderful things that I have. It's a love letter. I do want to say though too, since we're talking about being grateful, I'm very grateful to our illustrator Leah, because as we mentioned previously, I have no skill whatsoever when it comes to drawing. I actually have no visualization skills. My wife has all of that. So I have I have a very hard time visualizing stuff. And so it's the God, I'm going to get a little teary. To see what she did with my words.
Oh yeah.
And to see it come to life and bounce out of the page. Unbelievable feeling that I have. I
can
no other way to
imagine looking at
grateful.
You're looking at a Word document for decades, since 1998, and then all of a sudden it's in full color. That must be powerful. Are you? Let me ask you. Are you grateful for that, Brett?
Yeah, I am. I think there's a theme happening here. It's just I'm grateful to her for her immense talent.
Yeah.
She's envious.
Yeah, absolutely, very gifted. I would say it's a far greater contribution to the publication than my paltry worded foreword, but it is. Listen, it's a legit book, brother. It's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. It's surreal. It's there's no better apt term to describe it than surreal. We were sitting on the couch just last night as I was prepping for the interview with my wife, and I've looked at the book so many times, but it's just like I don't think the reality of it hit me, but it did. Like last night, I was like, "Oh, this is like a real thing," and my wife is like, "Yeah, exactly."
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like she's like, "I can't believe you haven't been, out of your shoes this whole time." And I'm like, I'm like, the reality of it doesn't hit me until it does. And it did. And, here we are. And I am grateful.
That's great.
I'm grateful to you. I'm grateful to your audience. I'm grateful to Brittany. Just everything, man.
Well, I love you very much. I'm very grateful for you. A friendship like ours that has lasted the test of time, decades and decades and decades, I think is something to be heralded. And I love you very much. We are brothers of choice, not by blood. And you're never getting rid of me. So
yeah, I don't plan to. That's
So if you're out there and you'd like to pick up this book, you can go anywhere you buy a book online, whether that be Amazon or Barnes & Noble or Walmart. You can go to Dollemore.com. There'll be a link below in the description, the pinned comment. Pick yourself up this book. You can thank your parents if you're an adult. You can buy it for your child and read it. It is amazing. And it also is going to someone who is, one, very special to me and Brittany, but also touched the lives of so many who heard your story last summer. So I want to make it official. Michael Brett McAfee, thank you for joining me to talk about the wonderful new book that you just wrote.
You're very, very welcome. And thank you so much for, being who you are and, being my brother. I love you so much, man.
I love you too.